Hey, Jason Seiden. So this is the second week in a row that what I wanted to talk about is being co-opted by current events. Some of you, I know I have viewers from Highland Park. And the way I know that, for those of you who are maybe wondering, is because I am from Highland Park. I was born there. I grew up going to that parade. I graduated Highland Park High School. My daughter just graduated Highland Park High School. My parents still live there. I've spent most of my adulthood there. In fact, my parents were there yesterday. If you watch the videos making the rounds on the news, there's a video of people tucking into a store entryways. You're looking at my parents. My mom made a last-minute decision to change seats, and it saved my dad's life. The guy who took his seat did not survive the day. There's a lot that goes on these days, and well, let me put it this way. My mom got knocked over by the crowd. She cut her leg and banged up her arm. I talked to her and my dad a few times yesterday. I talked to my dad. I heard what he saw. And I'll just say he knew it was a high-powered military-grade rifle based on what he saw. My mom hung up on me when she was in the triage tent because the guy next to her died. And if the events preceding that hadn't been traumatic enough, the triage tent gave her something to chew on. She was admitted to the hospital, a couple x-rays, released. She went to bed last night sending texts to the family saying it was a good day. I'm in good shape. Here we are, got the family. Someone was taking care of us. We have our theories about who that might have been. And it was a good day. Look, those of you who've been following my videos know I lost my daughter, and I have a pretty proactive approach to grief. And that's what I want to hit on for a minute today, because it's important. I'm not interested in opening and having the typical conversation because it would get typical results, and no one needs that from me, at least. Here's what I can say. I know that there's a lot of stories that come out of yesterday, from the people who were there, from the people who are one step removed from the people who were there, from people who have their own trauma that was torn open from yesterday. And I'm going to encourage all of you to share your stories. I think it's important. And I want to share two reasons why I think it's important, and then two things that I think are going to be helpful to keep in mind as you start the process. The first reason that I think it's important is because it will help you heal as an individual. Grief and trauma, the tools that are available to us for daily life are not always available to us when we have these big things happen. That's why they stay with us, because we can't deal with them normally. And they stay in our bodies, and they impact our ability to think, work, feel, love, support, be. They can grind us to a halt. I don't believe that time heals all wounds. I think time and hard work heal wounds. And thank you, Lisa, for that. I know I'm stealing your thunder there. It's time and hard work. Time alone, there's plenty of people who just rot in place. Sharing your story is a great way to start the work. It does a few things. Number one, it allows you to share the pain. I've done another video on this. When you make your pain your own, you have to carry it all by yourself. Even a 2-pound weight gets heavy after a couple hours, Sharing this gets real heavy real fast. Holding it gets real heavy real fast. Sharing it allows other people to help you carry the burden. We all have different strengths, so there may be something that's hard for you to carry that's easy for somebody else. Sharing your story will help you connect with those folks and find it. It will also help the people around you start to see what you need. And you'll start getting the feedback about where you need help. And if you listen to that, it'll help you direct a path through grief that is not one day longer than it needs to be. The other reason why I think it's important to share your stories is because as a community, it helps us too. Things hit us differently when they hit our home, when they hit people we know. When it happens to strangers, we process it here. When it happens to us, we process it here. And look, I don't want more of this. I don't want you to have firsthand knowledge of what yesterday was like. I don't want you to ever have a call with your mom like I just had. It was horrible. I don't want you to lose your daughter. Like, I don't want you to have loss. But if we're going to solve this as a community, we have to solve it from a different perspective than we're currently at, because the current perspective doesn't work. It's divisive. We're split. So how do we come together? Well, get out of here and get into here. That will help bring us together. And whatever that solution, I don't know that we're all going to agree after that. It's not about that. It's about at least sharing a perspective, that we can discuss the issue from the same perspective. We do that, we're on a better track to have a better answer than we currently have. So I think it's important to share your stories as individuals. I think it's important for the community to share this. And look, to give you a sense for how far-reaching this is, I heard yesterday from friends of mine in California, Vancouver, Atlanta, Texas, Florida, Germany, Italy, and Greece, just to name a few. There are people around the world who are impacted by yesterday because they either had family there, or a friend who they thought was there, or they knew whose kid was probably there. Like, this goes broad. So that brings me to the two things about how to do this. Number one is you're going to have a voice inside your head that's going to tell you not to. You might, I shouldn't say you will, you might have that voice. You're going to have to quiet that voice. The voice may bring a real issue to you. Fine, listen to it. Then deal with it, and then share your story, speak your mind. Do not stop. If you were there yesterday, that voice might shut you down saying, hey, you don't want to be a media whore, you don't want to invite the same typical conversation. Okay, great. Maybe share that concern with a couple people. Let them help you figure out how to tell your story without tripping those wires, if you need. Maybe you weren't there. Maybe the voice in your head is saying, hey, look, you're not entitled to this, you weren't there. Screw that guy. That voice. You have your trauma, you have your grief. Share that. And this is not the misery Olympics. Nobody gets a gold medal. If you weren't there and you feel this, okay, your story starts with, listen, I wasn't there and even I felt it. This brought up other things for me. It's really remarkable how far-reaching the impact of an event like that is. I wasn't even there and it's making me feel X, Y, and Z. Your feelings are still your feelings and they still need to be shared. So quiet the voice. Find a way to deal with the problem it raises, honor that, and then don't let it stop you. And then finally, don't be surprised if your first attempt at sharing fails. I'm a writer. I've been writing my entire life. I've been speaking my entire life. I rarely struggle to find the words for a situation or to give voice to my feelings or my thoughts. When I lost my daughter, my ability to communicate stopped. I couldn't. I kept a journal and I went back to the pages and I wanted to cobble something together and I couldn't. I didn't have anything to work with and I couldn't write. So I'm going to share something with you now that I hope helps. These are two images that I ended up creating after 3.5 years of trying to find my voice. They're two of about 120, and I created all these images and I curated them down, and I've got a series of them, and this became how I communicated my pain and grief. You may struggle to give voice to your pain. And I would encourage you, even if you've never done it before in your life, to just try things. Try music, art, stories. I don't even know, just talking. But something that maybe, if whatever you've done before, if it doesn't work for you, be open to something new. Because the thing about grief is it robs you of a lot of the tools that you may have had or you may have in other areas of your life. So I'm hoping that this video provides you a tool for dealing with this. And that tool starts with, number one, share the story. That is the goal. move into it, step into it, share it. Small audience, big audience, doesn't matter, share it. Number 2, the reasons why it's important. It's good for you, it's good for the community. And number 3, how to do it. Honor the issues that little naysayer voice has, but then deal with them and do not let that stop you. It can shape you a little bit. It can give you some good feedback that maybe you're about to make a mistake with the way in which you're going to do it, but don't let it stop you. And then finally, don't be surprised if you've got to try a few things or take some time. It took me 3.5 years to come up with these images. I mean, I could do an hour video on just what I went through before I landed on this. Take some time and don't stop until you find a way to express yourself that lets you kind of lift that pain out of you and put it someplace where you don't have to carry it with you all the time. It's there for you when you need it, but you don't have to carry it when you don't. I hope that helps. Highland Parkers, I am so sorry. There's nothing to say, is there? I love you, and I will see you next week.